Hi, I'm Annie Botticelli, and welcome to my Leo June 2022 Astrology MustKnows Horoscope Forecast. Definitely go to anniehelpsyou.com to see all the free goodies I make for you each month, and you can find that link either at the end of this video or in the notes below the video or podcast. Okay, so we've got two segments that we're going to break this video or podcast up into. The first is going to be just Leo-specific must-knows, and then the second part is going to be 4 big must-knows that are in the general transits but are just as relevant for your daily Leo experience. So, of the Leo-specific things, there is a lot to celebrate here. We've got Jupiter and Mars in fellow fire sign of Aries, and we know that when there's anything going on in fire, that lights you up like the 4th of July, and so this is very exciting. Not only is it for the short term, but it's also for the long term, because Jupiter is going to be in or very close to Aries for a full year, and this is going to light up everything for you, your appearance, your physical health, your anything having to do with your identity or how what you put out into the world. It's going to amp your creative output, like mind-bogglingly so. It's going to give you opportunities to learn and to teach and to travel, or anything having to do with your spiritual perspectives, or you might change your mind or learn something that just completely revolutionizes how you see things. This is a very exciting time when international things are lit up for you, different languages, anything having to do with different cultures or long distance travel is something that is probably on the mind of many, many people with Leo placements, and those trips can actually happen now. And if they don't happen now, then Jupiter's still going to be working for you for a long time. So if that's on your list of things to do, including immigration topics or anything like that, then just know that you have a massive amount of support. And not only will you have support in these arenas, but you will find yourself obsessed. Okay, wherever Mars is transiting, there's some level of obsession that goes with it, where it's like you're really excited about this education program, or you're really excited about getting this coursework put together, or you're really excited about some spiritual process or something that you're learning, or writing or publishing or anything like that. So we've got those things going on. And again, all of this is really linked to your physical vitality, your spiritual soul quenching, experiences, and how you see yourself, but also how you're putting yourself out into the world. So if you've ever wanted a time where you were going to revolutionize what you're bringing or what you're known as, then you are going to have the full support of the universe at this time. Okay, so the next thing that I want to talk about, let's talk about that fabulous full moon while we're on the topic of trines. Okay, so 23 degrees. Oh, by the way, while we're on the topic of this, Jupiter and Mars are going to do all of this goody stuff for all Leos. But those of you in the early degree part of the spectrum, so that's July born, pretty much July born, and you all there. So we'll say like 0 to 10 degrees, July born, you're going to get the biggest kisses the soonest from these planets. Now, Mars will move along quickly, and you all will have your Mars kisses soon, okay? It'll take a little longer for your Jupiter kisses, but I just wanted to let you know that those exact trines, for those of you in the July born or early degrees, those are happening in this time frame, like at the end of May, beginning of June, and actually throughout June as well. Now, for those of you who are in the late degree sector, this is why it made me remember that I wanted to point this out. This beautiful trine that's coming from the full moon in Sagittarius on June 14th is going to be at 23 degrees. So that means 18 degrees through 28 degrees. The closer to 23 degrees, the more of a kiss you get. And that's going to be like August 8th through 18th. And the closer you are to August 13th, the more of the kiss that you get. So that's exciting. Now, notice that it's in Sagittarius. Notice we've been talking about Sagittarius energies being lifted by the Aries placements. That's because the Aries placements for Leo are in the 9th house. But now this Sagittarius full moon also might bring you traveling or trip planning, or with education and those other things we talked about. But it's in your house of true love, of children, of creative projects. And so something involving the mix between the Saggy things that we mentioned and the passion projects, or maybe you're going on a trip with your honey and maybe you'll conceive there. Maybe you're finding out news that a baby is coming or a baby is being born at this time. So this is very active for your child sector. And there's been a lot of activity there for us, we've been talking about over time, but this full moon is another thing. So if that's what you're trying to do, then, that could happen. And for kids that you already have or just projects working with children, those can also be beautifully highlighted at this time in the middle of the month. Okay, so now let's see. Do we want to talk about the challenge spots first before we get to some more good yummies? Let's do that. All right, so as we have planets moving through Taurus, which we have Venus doing that, in a long-term way, we've got Pallas Athena, which is a star goddess. We have the planet Uranus. We have transiting North Node. We've got Mercury, short-term. And so all of these planets are making squares to your placement, and they are featuring a couple of main topics. One is work and employment. Now, the good news is that if you are disgruntled and you are not happy with your work or employment circumstance, or you are feeling, if you're a person that doesn't need to make money or doesn't need to be employed, if you're feeling like you've got something you want to say, like through a book or through sharing something, and you're having impediments, that can be how this manifests at this time. But because of all of the fabulous fire energy, getting your creative juices flowing, you are definitely going to have synchronicities that show you where to put your energy. So let's say you're not happy with work or your path or your job. Well, you might have an opportunity or an idea or something you're excited about that starts to give you information about which direction you should be going in to follow your bliss, basically. So if there ever were a time to start making decisions that will align you more with your bliss, this is very well supported. But you might have to get through a little bit of that, oh gosh, but what about the money? Oh gosh, but what about, the stability? And those types of obviously very important things, especially if you have people, if you have to take care of yourself or other people. But it looks like, those things are kind of warring a little bit. Like, you're excited about this, but oh, you got to go and do this. Or this is what's bringing in the money, but oh gosh, you really want to be doing this. So those will be vying for, attention and for, your focus. But hopefully if you're not making the big decision now, which you might be, especially the second half of the month is a really good time to make those types of decisions, then you might be at least moving closer to it. Okay, so the next must know is for Leos is that the Sun and then soon Mercury and then soon other things to follow are going to be moving through Gemini. And this is again something to celebrate for Leos because it makes that 60-degree angle full of opportunities. Now, you've got a lot of trine energy in your chart at this time, and trines are the things that just deliver goodies without you having to do a blessed thing for them, or delivers goodies from things that you've already done in the past. But this 60-degree angle that is also present with the Sun and with some other placements are ones that you might have to do something with. Okay, so just kind of be on the lookout if a person, a friend, a social group, an internet-based project, something like that offers you an opportunity. You might have to say yes and do something to activate it. And again, the second half of the month might be give you more clarity for exactly what that will look like. If you're kind of not sure in the first half of the month, then and you have a chance to sit with it without losing the opportunity, then as the month progresses, you might get more sure and you might get more clear. But lots of opportunities coming in through acquaintances and networking. So definitely be out and circulating or be saying yes as people are saying, hey, can we connect online or whatever it is. Of course, use your discernment, but a lot of things can come to you through other people right now, so you don't want to miss those. Now, another big must know is that we do have a new moon at the end of the month, and there are some very sweet aspects at the end of the month. There's also a challenging one, which we'll get to later. But the new moon in Cancer means that is highlighting your 12th house, basically. So in the 12th house, this is like when you have a new moon in this space, you might find, and this is towards the end of the month, that you might need to pull in and just kind of rest from the whirlwind that was this month. And it will be a whirlwind. That is another big must know, is that all of those Gemini energies are going to have you spinning. You're busy, you're all over the place, you're traveling locally, you're traveling far away. There's action and mobility is supercharged at this time. Information and connecting with other people is supercharged at this time. Creative flow, writing, if you're writing music, or if you're doing something with your creative process, that is flowing extensively at this time. But by the end of the month, and by the time this new moon comes in Cancer, you might find the need to withdraw and be a little reclusive, or just take some private time with your partner or somebody close to you, or yourself, where you just might be pulled in. So if you kind of are aware of that, just maybe leave a little bit of space so that that can be easier for you when that happens. And by the way, that middle of the month full moon and Sag thing can also bring in new love or advance something in your current relationship. If you're wanting things to move forward, you might find that full moon does that. Also, something might come out of hiding, like be elucidated, that you'll have to look through and figure out, and then kind of decide if you're going to move forward with. But if you're looking for love, that could also be a breakthrough in the middle of the month in that arena. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so one more thing is that Venus and Mercury, between June 21st and June 28th, Mercury and then Venus are going to make a beautiful aspect with Jupiter. All right, we talked a lot about what Mercury and Venus are doing. Now I want to let you know, just to add to that a sweet angle is going to happen, and this is going to favor everybody in the zodiac. And this is going to especially give extra goodies to the fire and air signs. So those of you who are close to 7 degrees, so the same I mentioned, earlier, like basically the July born Leos, the first few days of August, the closer to 7 degrees, the more, you are going to get extra special kisses from those placements. But again, it's goodness for everyone, but the closer you are to 7 degrees, you're going to get keyed in on that. Now, if you want to know your degrees and you don't know them, then just either find out how to run a free birth chart online, or you can have that as a perk when you sign up for my free email newsletter at anniehelpsyou.com. You'll get access to software to run that chart if you'd like to do that. Okay, so now let's talk about the 4 big must-knows, including a sneak peek into July and August as far as the energies, so that you can understand what's happening, so that you can align your actions in the way that will be most supported by the alignment of the natural rhythms of the planets at this time. Okay, so we've got 4 big must-knows from the general transit must-know perspective, which is true for all signs, but very critical to know to understand the energies of this month. The first big must-know is that our sweet versus salty ratio, as far as the aspects, are yay. Now, if you're not familiar with my little Annie terms here, sweet aspects are the ones where the planets are in harmony and tend to bring nice outcomes, and the salty ones are when the planets are kind of grouchy and they can bring nuisance events. So we've got almost double the sweet aspects compared to the salty ones. Again, this month, we've got a several month sequence where this has been happening, but June is the last month because July, it will start to favor the challenging aspects more over the sweet ones. So we want to soak this up while we can. Something else important about this, this ratio here is that even some of the few salty aspects or potentially salty aspects this month are ones that are conjunctions, which means they could go either way. A conjunction is a neutral aspect. It could be very positive or very challenging. And so even of some of these salty ones that are there, some of them could be super positive. And of the other ones that aren't conjunctions, they all have sweet aspects happening on the same day or very close to any of the remaining salty ones. So that's super positive for the general climate of this month. Of course, we know that general aspects, any particular ones of them, don't always drizzle down into our personal experience, but it's definitely an important piece to consider. The next big exciting must know is that eclipse heat of this season is fading. April and May were our big eclipses. Definitely look at my April and May horoscope reports, either through podcast or video on YouTube, to see where these areas, what areas of life for each of your signs might be affected, and some of the other themes that could be in the backdrop. You can check that out there. But what we're excited about here is that April and May can be super anxiety ridden in the way that change is coming, but you don't really know what it is. And you feel something's opening, but you're not really sure the details. And it's just sort of a time when the air is electric. You feel like you have your finger stuck in a socket. And that is starting to fade in June. While we could have some very important eclipse related news and events come in, the biggest heat of the season will be behind us by this time, and we are celebrating that. The next big must know is that we've got a hybrid month this month. So we've got retrograde until around June 2nd, depending on your time zone. And with every day we move towards June 19th, that post Mercury retrograde shadow period will clear. So essentially, the first half of the month is retrograde and the second half is direct. So let's just look at my handy chart to remind you of what that means. So for the first half of June, you want to deal with what comes up. Not conjure things to do because you're not really sure clarity is still coming. You want to clear out clutter in your mind and your relationships. The things that were swept under the rug, they're going to come out, so it's time to deal with them. And time to make new space for new projects and experiences. So you want to get those piles off your desk so that new projects can come in. You want to get those creative babies out, we're maybe not out yet because we're not quite in the launch zone yet. We'll talk about that in a second. But you want to get those creative babies finished up, polished up, edited, so you can send them out into the world. We've got an amazing time for last minute magic. So May and June is superb for leaving yourself unscheduled as possible, because last minute magic will come in and you're more likely to be able to say yes to an opportunity that comes if you're not super scheduled. And the things you schedule are probably going to shift or be called into question anyway, so it just makes sense. It's amazing to do research in this time. So let's say you want to do something at the end of June or July, August, when we're in our direct period. So we've got, June 19th through August 21st is our big direct period, and then the days leading up to June 19th, we're still in the retrograde. So you might want to wrap up these loose ends, do your research about the things you're going to do in this time, make your bookings, do your stuff then. A lot of times confusion, not being able to see very far ahead is a hallmark of the retrograde. And this is because you're not supposed to be making plans. You're supposed to be dealing with the things that come up. Being in the moment and not, having to worry about too much strategizing or planning, and just being in the now is always a good idea. But it's especially well indicated in the retrograde because it helps to prevent you from doing things that are better for the direct. If you're focused on this very moment, you're less likely to be doing the things that are better off in the direct flow. And it's a good time to honor the flow and not force things, okay? Now, sometimes we have to take the bull by the horns and get them out of the china shop, right? And for this activity, I suggest June 19th through August 21st. And as you get closer to June 19th, you'll feel these days will start to get, more open. It will be a gradual process through the month of changing. And so launches, your big creative baby that you polished up over here, bringing it out here. The things that you researched here, making the decisions about here, in the direct time. So basically, for those of you listening and not watching, I've got a visual here, and you can always see the visual component on YouTube if you're watching or listening through podcast. But, basically the things that you research in the retrograde, you can make your decisions about them in the direct. The things that you're talking about, just kind of experimenting with. This is another thing that's nice here in the retrograde, is experimenting. Things you're experimenting with can turn into agreements in the direct time. So the second half of June, all of July, and most of August is this time for the direct energy, launches, big decisions, agreements, investments, moves, brand new projects, clarity, future planning, pushing and initiating, and being a little bit more proactive in this time of direct. So June is a special month in the way that it will reflect all of these facets, and you'll see that switching over as the month goes on. Then we've got a red alert. Okay, so I'm an optimist. I'm a Sagittarius. I have a lot of Sagittarius in my chart. I see everything through the lens of how this can be good even if it's challenging, how we can reframe something to improve our experience. And my work is very much focused that way. But if there's something you just really have to watch out for that's kind of nasty, I am going to also tell you that. And we do have one of those red alert aspects here. The aspect isn't actually until July 1st. But because it's Mars and Pluto, I see that influence be super strong 5 days before, 5 days after. It could be a little more than that, even a week. But so the whole end of June, when we've got some other really nice aspects going on, we still have this this challenging aspect to look out for. You don't want to antagonize a crazy person. You don't want to antagonize someone that's clearly out of control or having a hard time. You don't want to not be paying attention. You don't want to force things from the perspective of like an ego push. Like if you have a righteous indignation about something and you're going to go battle with somebody who could be a formidable competitor, you don't really want to bring that at this time. And some people who you think are not formidable, competitors here, they might bring some fire that you're not expecting. So just be really careful in those days around the end of June and the beginning of July, because this is going to be a very strong influence. Don't let this make you concerned, too concerned. You just have to be more aware. And it definitely can cast a little shadow on some of the sweet aspects of the month, but it's only influencing there at the end. And we do have a lot of sweetness to help balance this out. Okay, so I've given you lots to work with to help you make the most of the energies this month and to help you understand the energetic patterns at work and play. And if you'd like more resources, I've got all of these here. You can additionally go to the little more button, the little arrow underneath the bottom right of the video. Click on that and all of the links that I'm giving you here will be clickable, right? So if you're looking for reading options, including a beautiful, very detailed 45-minute audio of your birth chart for $33 from my brilliant husband, you can find that at anniebclarity.com. You can go to anniehelpsyou.com, sign up for my free email newsletter. This is where you can access running a free birth chart. This is where you access my 28-day in-depth virtual coaching program called Shine for free. This is also where you'll find tons of blogs, and you get lots of other perks for being on my newsletter list. If you're looking for written horoscopes by me, always up a month early, you can go to cozybysweetstarlight.com. If you haven't seen this site, go to it. It is so beautiful. We've got, me and my team have lots of amazing astrology-inspired blogs and healthy living blogs. We've got hypnosis for all the signs. We've got healing frequencies for all the signs. I've got the written horoscopes that I write. We have yoga for all the signs. So it's just a very beautiful, comprehensive site. If you're looking for free courses on how to manifest money and wellness, you can go to lumlife.com, my school, Luminous Life Multiversity, LUMLIFE. You can also find my astrology education courses here, including my behemoth of a master course called Becoming a Professional Astrologer Mastery Course, which you can fully utilize even if you don't want to be a professional astrologer, but it certainly will get you up to the level where you could be and show you how to make your business a success. And payment plans are available there too. Now, I've also got 2 books out and more on the way. Planetology, How to Align with the Natural Rhythms of the Universe. You will find this on the bookshelves in all major booksellers, including all the Books A Million, all the Barnes & Nobles. It's right there on the shelf. Plus, you can get it on Amazon and through any independent bookseller. And you can find Radical Prayer on Amazon, and you can order it anywhere as well. So I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye!